Okay, Instagram.
Says live on my.
All right, I think I'm just trying to make sure Instagram goes live. All right, I think I am. Okay. All right. Welcome, Built for the Storm podcast. I'm doing like what I normally do and just try to figure it out as I go. So if there's a slight delay or some weird rubbish you heard, is what it is. So I have a guest. Obviously, as you can see, George Kontos is joining me. If you're from San Francisco and you don't know George, you are dead probably. But we are going to have a good time. I brought him on because George and I have a great time together. We did the fantasy camp together. We had a great time bantering, but then also we were teammates for like 6 years, and it was awesome. So I figured he is in the stream. He is in the media. He's in what's going on with the Giants. I want to do more of these with him. I think it's going to be awesome. But he has more knowledge in wisdom than I do what's going on with Giants games because he's living it more than I am. I'm slinging beer, watching games as I do it. That's kind of what I'm doing. So George, man, welcome. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, man.
No, happy to be here. Glad we're able to knock this out, and looking forward to doing more of them together. And
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. He's trying to get his baby down. Doesn't seem to be working for him. So
my wife had a last minute impromptu work trip to Miami, and she's like, "You gonna be okay for 48 hours with just you and the baby?" I'm like, "What? First time alone? Which just means I normally do this stuff." So that time was a monster debate between her and I right now, and I lost that one. So whatever, it is what it
is. That won't be the last that you lose those debates. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us. You're in Chicago, so you're on the same time zone, so I don't have to try to figure all that out. But we are going to talk Giants baseball a little bit. So I've been on a rant the last few times. One, I've talked about bullpen. You got to have a bullpen in order to win ball games. I don't care what the new rules, all the new stuff. You got to still have a bullpen. It has not changed in 100+ years. It's not going to change. And last week, or I think it was a couple weeks ago, no, it was last week, I did one on are they built for it, the storm that they're in right now? Are they built to get out of it, or are they built to possibly change it? I thought they might be able to. I'm not sure that's going to happen this year, but do the people up top, and we love Buster, and I do believe he has a good vision for this team, but what do you see if there was an argument, if we came at this table and we sat down and I said, Kontos, do you think they can do it this year? I'm not saying you can or can't. It's like 6 weeks out. We were at the 2010. In 2010, I remind people we were 10 games out going to September. We figured out how to win the whole thing. So there is that Cinderella card, but with the injuries, Chapman going to the DL or the IL again, I guess you should say, and you got all these different scenarios in play. I don't know if they have that same chemistry that we had in 2010, but what are you seeing, or what do you think has to happen for fans, players, front office, everybody to go into an offseason with some hope for next year and what they need to do?
Man, it's crazy because the last 2 weeks have just been such a heavy downward spiral. And I mean, with the way that the team started and this team specifically has had so many ups and downs where they started hot, then they kind of scuffled a little bit. Then the pitching has been incredibly good for the majority of the season. Then everyone's like, where'd the offense go? So there's just so many things that hadn't quite been going their way. The last 2 weeks for me, though, have been incredibly telling. When you got a guy like Willy Adames even saying, like, I don't know what has happened to everyone's kind of attitude in this clubhouse the last couple of weeks, with a guy whose attitude is perpetually really happy. That to me was really telling. And you got a bunch of incredible leaders in that clubhouse. Matty Chapman is an awesome leader. Willy Adames is a great leader. Logan Webb is the guy who played with guys we played with, and he knows exactly what winning baseball and Giants baseball is like. I thought the trade deadline was awfully kind of telling. Buster made a few moves that brought some pieces back, but he kept a lot of that core together. I think a good run, a good 8-2 week or 10 games, I think people are probably feeling a little bit different than right now. Obviously, anything can happen if you get in. You know that because of all the teams that you were on that won, and I was on 2 that we won the division in 12, and then we snuck in and did some great things in 14, obviously. Right now, when you're asking me, just with kind of how the vibe is and how the taste in everyone's mouth is, I'd say it's an incredible long shot. But
Yeah.
one week of baseball, is if you go in and sweep the Padres this series, for example, and you got the Dodgers coming in town soon. So I think it's probably a long shot. Do I think that anything can happen if they can sneak in? They're not out of it in the wild card sense of it, but I don't know that this team, if they were to get there, has what it takes for the longevity of what October has to do with how they've been playing the last probably 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, because I looked at the wild card. It's not that they're what 5 games out, but
There are a lot of teams jumbled in there.
that's the thing is there's
Yeah.
a lineup of
Yeah.
people that have to lose, man. So it's not like you're 5 games out where you have 2 teams to jump over. You got like 6. A lot of people have to lose, and that's what is tough. Some people say, man, they're only 5 games out. They can still. It's not only 5 games out. It's 5 games out, and it's like 6
14.
teams have to lose at the same time. So,
Yeah.
so it's a lot. It's a lot.
I think you control your own destiny with teams like Arizona, right? You're still going to have games against them. They're teams you should beat, and we've said this forever, right? You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. But baseball's hard. That's why you play 62 freaking games throughout the course of a season, is because anybody can show up any day and make something happen. And you're supposed to beat the Rockies. You're supposed to beat the Pirates and the teams that the White Sox and the Athletics. And man, this game is hard because a lot of goofy things can happen when you throw a baseball 60 feet 6 inches and a guy puts the bat on it and hits it anywhere. So, I think it's been a little bit deflating. Not a little bit, it has been, and I'm saying that from somebody who wants this organization as a guy who's still currently involved in covering it and an alumni, same as you. I want these guys to do well. I want them to have success under everybody, especially Buster, a guy who we know incredibly well for a really long time. But it's been deflating. And when the local media starts even being like, hey, man, what the heck's going on around here?
Yeah.
You've really kind of hit a point where there's some eyebrows are being opened around the city. And better than I do, for as many games as you pitched in that ballpark, that place, when it is slammed and rocking, is the best place to play baseball. And
hands down.
Even Kruk on KNBR, when he comes out and he's like, you guys have to keep these fans involved. You owe them an effort, a good effort. You owe them to want to keep coming to those ball games. And I think that's the most important part, is that they need to kind of find a little bit of a way to bring back that good, positive energy and keep those fans, which are the best in the game, wanting to come back and still come every single night.
So that's your feeling, the vibe, the clubhouse, the energy behind that. You think that the attitudes of players have changed to a point where the mentality is not walk in and try to figure out, hey, how are we going to win today? It's their mentality is, how are we going to lose today? Or what way? You think that's more like it? Or do you think, are they coming to the ballpark with energy, do you think? Or do you think they're coming to the ballpark with the other day, like with the double play ball that was supposed to hit the second base bag. And I heard Adamas, he's like, well, that's just how the year's been going. Man, that's where it's like, that's not, in my opinion, I get what he's trying to say. I also think that he's trying to be honest, but also the leadership side of that is like, that's probably not the answer that people want to hear, right? It could be like, hey, man, it's baseball. It sucks. But you're almost kind of telling everybody, you know what? We had a hard luck year. That just kind of sucks. I don't know if that's the answer I really wanted to hear from him on that, but I get that they're frustrated too.
I don't think that's an answer that a guy in the clubhouse ever should be saying, right? And it's you definitely don't want to lead the fans down a point where, these guys are no longer committed to going out there and playing good baseball. And as well as I know, that when things are really going bad, it's really hard to get out of those bad situations, because it's really hard to change that bad mojo or bad energy. And it could take one great game. I mean, they had one just last night where they played well, and you win this ball game. Logan Webb gets them off that train. They finally win a game at home, when it's like, what's been going on? And now you're going into San Diego with this series that's going to be really important. You win again today, I think the vibes get incrementally better. You win again tomorrow, keep getting better, right? It's those losses that are really heavy.
The Webb game, I mean, at some point in time, you got to think Verlander's like, hey, like, what the hell just happened? Like, I just threw the same game. I can't buy a win. I mean, it's got to be kind of weird. I mean, that to me, that part, I am still trying to understand, because that dude he knows it though. It's not a knock. He's not Verlander from 5-10 years. We get that, but he doesn't need to be. But I'm like, he's pitched better than one win. I mean, this guy
Totally.
cannot freaking get a break. Like,
I did a little coverage hit on him where I compared a side by side of him this year to him in 2023. Last year, you throw it out the window. He had an injury-riddled season. He was trying to figure it back out and get back. The stuff, when it's at its best, still is very similar. There's just a few more mistakes, I think, that he's made this year. He's left a few more pitches in hittable areas, in counts that he knows that he's got to bury a slider or throw that fastball at the top of the zone or above. He's just missing by a little bit. But when you're Justin Verlander and guys have 20 years of video on you, they're ready for it. And if it's not 97, 98 anymore, it's 93, 95, which, while it's still really good, in today's game, it's not the same. I remember our average fastball velocity for our bullpen was like 91.9. Remember that postseason?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one of our beat writers were like, yeah, you guys are the slowest bullpen in the big leagues. And we're like, beat it, get out of here.
We're also the craftiest. Okay.
Yeah. It's just to your point, he has pitched better than the stats and the win-loss and all that. The team hadn't picked him up about 6-7 times. They've blown.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And then he had a couple of those games where 1 or 2 innings just got away from him, and he'd pitch 5-6 innings, and 4 of them would be great, or 5 of them would be great, but a 4 spot he'd give up in like the second or the third. And then you're playing come from behind baseball anyways, which is difficult, especially in that ballpark. Right. Just drib you up and score 4 or 5 runs. It's difficult to do in that ballpark.
Yeah, and the way that they're playing the offense right now, I just thought, man, I was, when I saw him in spring, I know that spring trainings, it is what it is on that. But you saw the approach was put the ball in play. I mean, sitting in the meetings too, when I sat in the meetings and listened to how they were grading players, I mean, it was like you needed a freaking MIT degree to even understand how they were freaking grading these guys. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I probably would have failed every single one. I looked at Pat Burrell. I'm like, what do you think I would have scored? He's like, not good. Spring training, the way I was like, I didn't even know they scored guys in spring training. But like, I'm just sitting there like, but as I started to see it, it made a lot more sense. And I was starting to kind of understand, hey man, it wasn't that we didn't knock them on getting out. We knocked them on, hey, they had a terrible 2-strike approach, like, or they grounded out on a weak ground ball when they were 2-0. They didn't care if they lined out but it was like how they made contact and what counts, etc. I'm just not seeing that team right now. I mean, the swing and miss rate's incredibly high, but I'm like just thinking, I don't necessarily know if I agree. Like, I don't know what happened to them because they had a great game plan going into spring training. And I know you're hearing it and you hear it. I don't pay attention to media a whole lot when it comes to what facts are, or truth, but you do hear it. You're like, Melvin, like, is he a guy is he on the hook? I don't think he is. I don't think Buster would have extended him if there was a situation where one bad month can cost him his job. I do not think that. Yeah. But they are talking about, does he need a whole new coaching staff? And even though, like, we played with Pat, I think the guy was an incredible hitter. I think he has a good idea on how to coach guys on how to hit. They might not be listening to him. I don't know if that's the skid or not. But I just feel like what do you see? Are you hearing it? Like, I just don't know what you're feeling when you're over there. Is it a coaching? Do you think the coaching scenario? I look at it as those are the first guys going to roll before players. Is coaches are going to get moved out, but I would assume that's got to be something coming.
You know how it goes as well as anybody. You played baseball in the big leagues for a really long time, but there's always somebody to blame outside of the players because they're the hardest people to make the moves on because they're the guys that go out in between the white lines and go do everything. And one thing that I can say, since you brought Pat Burrell up, I mean, that guy is incredibly committed to getting there early, working hard, doing his homework. He's always down there in the cage. I'm there doing something at 12 o'clock, and he comes out to run stadiums before everybody gets there and do his prep work and all that. So it's been really cool to see Pat as a player, just how talented he was and all that, and now switch it to how committed he is to wanting this team to do well. I mean, I remember I'd have a couple conversations with him about just different guys, and it doesn't matter who it was, but he's like, oh man, this guy's approach has gotten way better. I'm super pumped that this is what's going to happen. So he's incredibly committed. I mean, it'd be a shame if like something were to happen to Pat, for example. He's put the work in. He's done it really well. He's worked really hard at it. He's been incredibly committed. But again, sometimes things need to happen for the guys that are 1 through 26 on that ball club to realize, oh crap, we need to get this thing rolling again, because these are the things that happen in the game, which is a crappy part of it. But this offense, I mean, really, but for maybe 2 weeks of the entire season, they haven't rolled consistently all together. You haven't had Willie and Matty Chapman. And, obviously Devers hasn't fully hit his stride yet. And that's a whole nother issue with him coming over here, with how everyone in the clubhouse actually really likes the guy. And the media has blown up how his exodus of Boston could it have affected here and this and that. And everything that I've heard about the guy is he's a really good teammate. And I've had a few conversations with him. I was at his press conference when he first got over there from Boston, when they were about to play Boston at home. I mean, he said all the right things. And you're talking about a guy that has spent his entire organization his entire career with one organization, drafted as a 16-year-old, signed the largest contract ever. So that's a conversation for a little bit of a different time in regards to him specifically. But a lot of those guys have not just rolled at the same time. And in order for you to be successful, you can't just focus on giving up 2 runs or less every game, because that is incredibly hard to do. Our teams did it for a long time. Where
it's not the same game, though. That's not the same game. Yeah,
but it's not the same. I agree. So the offense hasn't rolled as well as I think anybody would have expected or anticipated they would have. And the pitching was so good early, and it's faltered just a little bit lately. Like the bullpen ERA is still second in the big leagues, but they were so locked down early. The starters were incredibly locked down early. When you have those times throughout the course of a 162-game season where the pitching a time or two through the rotation scuffles a little bit, that's when the offense has to be there to pick them up. And we just haven't had that give and take. It's just been nowhere, non-existent for the most part.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to the bullpen. But one thing you were saying with Burrell and those guys, I agree. I honestly don't even think that it's a coaching. I don't know if it's a coaching and I don't even know if it's either. I really don't. Yeah. I think it's an attitude. I think it's a mentality. And it's not even that, well, then go after Melvin. But Melvin can talk till he's blue in the face. Somebody has to actually do it, though. The players at some point have to act. And that's why Sabian was so good, and he would be good for Buster. I think he is good for Buster personally. I don't know anything about it, but I do believe that there are Buster, I'm sure, was picking Sabian's brain a long time before the season even started. But Sabian sometimes never made any moves. And everybody's like, how do you not make any moves? Because Sabian's philosophy was that at some point, it's not the coach's fault, it's the player's fault. Yeah. If it's not the player's fault, it is the coach's fault. Regardless, this team has to step up and actually own it and make an adjustment and change your thought process, change your attack, take responsibility and take pride in your job and go do it. To me, that is what needs to happen. And so for me, I look at this team, and on paper, they're fine. I think Chapman, I think he came back too early, to be honest with you. I think they were on a run, so he came back. I think that's why he went back to the IL, because they're like, bro, it ain't going to work. Let's just shut it down, because you got to stay healthy. We signed you to a deal. We got to have you for the long haul. So I think that's the move that happened there, which it probably should have, because he didn't look the same. He really didn't. And he's got a lot of talent. So, well, look, and he's not protecting.
You saw that too in all those press conferences where everyone was asking, when's Chappie coming back? And Melvin's response was like, this guy's gnawing at the bit like a rabid dog to get back onto this roster to help this team, because that's the kind of leader he is. And, if he came back a little bit early, there's no doubt that there would have been ramifications to him coming back early if you can't grip the bat the way you want and have the bat control. But again, to your point, talking about saves, this is a really funny story that popped into my head. It was 2013. Remember, we got smoked by Cincinnati at home, and we got swept. And Saves came in and kicked everybody out of the weight room. He kicked everybody out of the training room. And he shut the lights off, and he goes, "Y'all don't deserve to have any treatment. You don't deserve to have any weight room time. Go on, out of here." And we were all
he locked the video room. Oh, he ripped the phone. I remember he ripped the phone off the wall. And I remember the next day, I duct taped it together. It might have been too soon, but he still had an office down in there. And I duct taped the phone, and I brought it to him in the office, and I asked if he still wanted to use it. And he said some not so kind words and told me to get out of his office. But it was actually really funny. But that's what it was, right?
It caught your attention. It caught everyone in that clubhouse's attention. It's like, oh man, we need to clean it up right now.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what he did well. Like some guys didn't like at first, you're like, what? This guy is psychotic. He wasn't psychotic. He understood the game.
Yeah.
He understood the game. Like it's not about how much weight, it's not about how much you stretch. You have this. I didn't pay you because you didn't have skill. You have the skill set. Get out there and do your job. Like that is actually what some teams need.
Yeah.
And I think when you got teams like this going on right now, I would do this if I know they got so much analytical garbage in there, which and being in spring training, I was completely against analytics. Then kind of talking to those guys and kind of learn a little bit about more of what they're thinking. I actually probably appreciate some of it, but
Yeah.
it's like everything else. You open that Pandora's box, then now you're overly doing it. And
Yeah.
some of these guys are probably paralysis by analysis right now. Like I would be like, none of you are going to talk to any analytic guys for the next week. Go out
Yeah.
there and feel the game, feel your swing, feel your pitch. Like quit worrying about your body mechanics and your spin rate. Feel it. Feel
Yeah,
it.
no,
Did it.
I very much agree. I've always been much more in the way that you viewpointed. I think that decisions should be made, analysis should be made by using your eyes. Like you need to use your eyes, and then you can use the information as a complement to what you're seeing. I mean, anybody who knows baseball can go and see what the problem is. And I'll use a guy who has cleaned it up a little bit, but like Joey Bart, for example, couldn't hit an inside fastball. Rushed him
Yeah.
up, and he got taken advantage of because the big leagues will exploit you incredibly quickly. And the information is just so prevalent, whether like guys are looking at iPads, hitters are looking at iPads, are like, what does this guy throw? This percentage, blah, blah, blah. I watched an ESPN game maybe last year or 2 years ago, and Joe Madden said, which was incredibly interesting. He said, these guys are getting way too much information right now. They need to be given information by the guys who played the game and understand what information is relevant. But you
Yeah.
need to be fed only the pertinent information. Like you as a hitter or a hitter going into the box doesn't need all this information. They need to know what the pitcher's strength is, what to expect in a put away count, and then he needs to go and be natural in his approach. So to your
Yep.
point, the paralysis by analysis thing, I think, has really swung to the heavy side as of lately.
Yeah, because they look mechanical out there. When I watch them swing, like I mean, I like Bailey in spring training. I like him now. I don't know much about him. I'm just saying if I were to see a guy swing, I'm like, he actually looks like he's overthinking stuff. I mean, literally overthinking everything and swinging at stuff he shouldn't swing at, taking stuff he should not be. I mean, the other night he threw, I think what, two, maybe I saw it wrong, but it looked like every 3-2 fastball.
3-2 fastball down the middle.
Basically. He took them.
Yeah.
But he was looking to walk. He literally took his bat. He wasn't even looking to jack that ball. So he wasn't looking to drive it anywhere. He was looking to like walk. Yeah. To me, that can't happen.
Way too much in their head and they're overthinking. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I'm like, what? So that, but back to the point on the trades. I texted Buster, and Buster, he's professional, and I appreciate, he's awesome. Even he doesn't give up nothing, which he shouldn't. Right. I just said, hey, I appreciate I know what you did on that trade deadline, dude, and I know what you did, and I think you kept your team intact and understood what guys you could give up to maximize your future and your minor league system to build a really good team coming up. Like, I thought it was smart what he did and how he did it. I think the guys that he traded away are very good bullpen guys, and they're great. But it's part of the job as a bullpen guy. Being around as long as we were all around, probably not normal, to be honest with you. So that's going to be a normal thing, is to trade away big time relievers. But my only concern that I see is what you see a lot. Guys that can pitch the 7th and 8th can't always pitch the 9th. They think they can, but they can't always pitch the 9th. And so I don't like this Rodriguez kid. I think he's got a really, really, really good stuff. I'm just wondering, and it might be too early to tell, but he blew 2 saves out. He's blown 2 now, I think. He's got a really, I mean, he's maybe just a really good 8th inning guy, or he's a closer. I don't know. What are you seeing him as, a closer, or what are you seeing him as?
I really liked him. In theory, when I was looking at this bullpen from a whole, I loved Camilo Doval coming in as your fireman guy, like your Andrew Miller with the Yankees when they were making their push for like a few years. You bring him in your most important 3 outs between the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. you have your bona fide closer, and you have a guy that you know is going to be there, whoever it was going to be. Let's say Ryan Walker to start the year, even though he scuffled a little bit. The ninth, to your point, is a completely different animal. I mean, I only pitched a few ninths in those situations throughout my whole entire career, but you got to be a little wonky, crazy to pitch the ninth. Like there is a different level of your brain that you need to go to be a really good ninth inning guy for a long time. You can notice the difference in the puckering up a little bit of these guys when they have a lot of success in that seventh or eighth. Then you go to the ninth, and then like Ryan Walker, for example, I thought he handled it incredibly well last year when he got in there, and he was dominant for his whole time as the closer. A guy like him, his mechanics and his delivery are so unique that if he's not timing wise exactly on, he's going to have problems, and that's what we saw at him early. I think mentally he's actually fine. I've had several conversations with him, but his timing, if you're off with how far across his body he throws, that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball goes 95, 96, and you're not locating it nearly the same. And we literally saw that. So he needed a breather to come out of it. Camilo was having an incredibly good season, and then you get into that closer role and regress a little bit, only because that inning is such a difficult, pressure-packed inning, and everybody, you do as the guy on the mound, but also those guys in the batter's box, the focus tightens up a little bit, and guys are able to realize that you're running out of outs. There's 3 left, and you nitpick on your pitch selection better. You take swings that aren't quite as big, and that's when those games become a little dicey. Get a guy on base, a lot more pressure packed. So to answer your question, do I think Rodriguez could be a really good ninth inning guy? I absolutely do. I think he could be a closer. I think emotionally he's got to get to the point where he trusts in the fact that he is a closer. I think right now he's a guy who's having a really, really great season, obviously an all-star. I'm sure you probably watched the All-Star game, though, but that was the first time he faced that kind of pressure. And granted, that's a crazy time to do it. But you noticed a little bit of him feeling the pressure in the All-Star game. Like when I was watching that, I felt like, okay, he understands the pressure that is maybe the same as the ninth inning, but it's definitely amplified from the seventh or the eighth. I think he'll be fine. I think that once he gets his feet under him and has enough reps in that ninth inning role, you haven't seen him have a complete lack of a lapse of unable to throw a strike for the most part. He's still a young kid, but I think he could handle the ninth inning. Just needs a little bit more reps.
Do you think they're going to let him close the rest of the year before they make a decision? Like I'm just wondering if they go after a closer this year.
I think you and I know this better than most, right? The bullpen is so important. If you have a guy that would fit into your mix, into your rotation, or into your bullpen in the back end, why would you not? Why would you not prioritize that? If there's a guy available that's a good fit that you can get for whatever fits the amount that you want to spend for that role, you just make your bullpen a lot deeper. If you get whatever XYZ closer that hits the market that wants to come here and you can work out a deal, why would you not just bump everybody back one and just have that guy? You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
That would make sense to me.
Just because I think closer jobs, it goes one or the other. Either you let a guy develop into it because he earned the ability to have time to develop into it, or you go and get a guy that's earned the right because he's done it, and I know he's going to do. I know what I'm getting. Like you knew what you were going to get from John Smoltz. You knew what you were going to get from Mariano Rivera. Those guys hardly ever left. I mean, Hoffman and Rivera never left, because why would you ever let, like, I'm not going to replace that guy. Like he's going to play until he's not going to play anymore. Like that's our guy.
And you're thinking about the 2 best ever to do it.
That's what I'm saying. Like you will never, and think about, like you were saying, it's a weird, Hoffman's throwing 80 poo, dude. The guy, but he had an incredible changeup, but it takes something to be able to get those final 3 outs. And it's not always velocity. It's smart. It's pitching right. I mean, Rivera had one freaking pitch, but it was awesome. Like it's like Romo throwing the slider every time,
When you talk about like guys in and obviously you're a little older than me, but when you talk about guys in our
whatever
era,
Kontos,
you the guys that I think of are like Kenley Jensen. I think of Aroldis Chapman. I think of guys who have done it for a very long time successfully. They've never fully left the ninth inning. Like even Kenley Jensen, for example, went kind of all over the place, scuffled a little bit here and there, but the guy still closed from 2011 to now. He's still a closer. Aroldis Chapman, he's kind of bounced out of that closer role. But when push comes to shove, he's been throwing north of 100 for his whole entire career back in the ninth inning role. Those guys are built for that ninth inning. They understand what it takes, and they're also a little bonkers enough to be able to handle that. And they're just like, I don't care. This is what I'm bringing. If you hit it, great. If not, you're going to lose. And they all have that edge mentality. So, you know, closers are, I think very few are people that like limp into that ninth inning and hold it. Most guys that I've seen that are closers, they grab that ninth inning and they're like, this is mine forever.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know if I've seen that yet in the Giants bullpen. You know, I don't know if I've seen it. I haven't seen it the last few years. Even Duvall, I get it. He was in and out of there. Walker's in. But I don't know if I've seen a guy, even when I was in spring training, I was just watching some of the guys in how they did stuff. I do not think I saw a guy that was like, he's not only crazy enough, he owns it. And it's like, you're going to give me the ball in the ninth because I'm going to get the job done. Like I don't see that energy quite yet. I don't think they found that guy. Like, you know, even though Casilla and Romo, they kind of went back and forth, it depended on the year, right? But if they got the role, it was that's it. I'm going to do it. And even Casilla wasn't the big like showy guy. Like, I mean, he made it interesting in the ninth, but he didn't make it interesting because he was showy. He competed and he just was kind of like, I'm going to take the ball. I'm just going to go. Right. So, and because my podcast, I can do this. I have to hold on. I'm going to go back to, I was trying to figure out if everybody hated us, George, or what, but, I was like, why is no one watching us? This is dumb, you know? But I'm looking at it and it said loading. It didn't go live. I'm like, what? Why would you not go live? I'm not really understanding. So I don't even know what happened. I'm assuming that this is why I don't. Yeah, and this is why I'm not allowed to do this, because without a producer, I'm probably never going to be allowed to do this again, because it just like randomly said like error. So I'm like, whatever. So it is what it is. It'll be on friggin' YouTube, so it'll be good. But I'm waiting. Romo owned it when he had it, because Casilla owned it when he had it. Weeze, that guy was a bona fide. That guy was a freaking closer. Like he was like, he would throw 52 pitches if he had to and come out the next day. He was crazy. He did what he needed to do. You know, Romo and Casilla were closers. They owned it in their own way, and they did a great job at it. But I feel like Weeze was the last man, kind of that mix of crazy and smart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like like when he walked into the stadium, everybody would look at that one guy and be like, he's definitely the closer. Like, that's the kind of guy, you know, like that's how, that's kind of how he looked, you know? Yeah. I'm waiting for someone to put up a Giants uniform that does that. Like, give me that Papelbon guy that doesn't apologize for nothing, pisses everybody off if you're going in against him. But that's why I've got you out there, man. Like, I want that guy. You know, I don't think I've seen
the game is so much different now, though. On what
true.
Like what you can, and I don't even mean necessarily the game in between the white lines. I just mean like if there was as heavy of a media presence when Jonathan Papelbon came in, or Brian Wilson, when Weeze was like, if there was everything that would go viral in 7 seconds, Weeze would have had a viral moment every 3 hours. You know, like if things could have gone viral as fast now as or back then as they do now. So like, I think I agree with you. I mean, you think of a guy that's like, I think of Craig Kimbrell, right? Craig Kimbrell is a guy who just doesn't care. He's just like, give me the ball, put the sign down, and catch it.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You have to. I feel like closers are either just like emotionless. Give me the ball, see the sign, keep it simple, stupid, or they're just incredibly smart. They know how to deal with it all and can rise to the occasion. I think it's like one or the other. There's no like in between closer guys that are bona fide closers.
I know, and I know it's morbid to even say, but I kind of need like a Dexter version of a closer to come back. You know, like I do not have emotion. It does. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it doesn't bother me. I'm going to destroy you. Like, I'm waiting for that, and I really feel like and I'm not Buster, and I hope I don't get a text and him telling me I'm an idiot. But if I'm Buster, I am literally going to be like, I'm going to find that guy. I really think I want to find that guy. Like, I want to find that guy because those are the kind of guys for me that when a team is starting to struggle a little bit, he's the guy that everybody's like, he'll actually bring you out of it a little bit,
Yeah.
like he has that personality, because those guys don't ever give into the emotion of the team. They're
Right.
never like, well, I'm down because everybody else is down. Those are the kind of guys that don't do that,
Yeah.
because they don't, that's not in their brain to do it. I think you
And
need some
we
of
had,
those guys.
even well, since you mentioned them, like I can think back on our teams. We had several of them. We had Hunter, Pete. Remember when Pete flipped the table in
Yeah.
game 4 at home against Kansas City in
Yep.
2014. Pete flipped the table. We were all like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
what is going?"
Yeah.
Like, came out
Yeah.
of nowhere, and he got all fired up. And obviously Hunter with his reverend stuff. But we had guys like Buster was always the quiet leader. He wasn't like a team meeting or rah rah fire up
Right.
guy. Crawford and Belt kind of were doing their own things, but we had those firecrackers that would do that.
That's right.
You'd have those guys that were not afraid to look at me. This is the direction we're going, and that would rise everybody up and bring everybody onto the same page. And I don't know if this team currently has somebody that's done that. Like there's a guy, Matt Chapman, who steps in between the white lines, and you could tell he's all business, and he will run
That's
to
right.
a wall, make a play or whatever. Then you see him in the clubhouse, and he walks around. He's got smiles on. He's great. I don't know if he's a table flip guy. Willie Adames doesn't seem like a table flip guy to me. Incredibly bubbly, awesome, energetic personality. Even when he was scuffling the first little bit of the year, he was top stepping everybody when everybody else was doing good things. That's a great teammate to have. That's somebody that you want to keep the vibes high. Who's the guy that's going to flip the table?
That's right.
I don't see Logan as being that guy. Logan's not a lead by example guy. He's a guy that will say something if he believes it. He's firm in what he believes and what's right and what's wrong. But who's the table flipper?
Yeah. Like who's the Bumgarner? Like, honestly, like I think that I try not to live like, oh man, you should, because when we were playing, it was like, guys would come on, well, our team, you're like, oh, here we go, like our team. I don't try to live like that, but what I try to do is figure out what about what was the theme? Like, where's if I look at who's the Kane, like that's probably a Logan Webb for me, kind of a guy, just kind of straight does his thing. And then you got the Vogel song that's just like literally angry the entire time, like he just not like crazy, like Bumgarner angry, just like leave me alone, don't ever talk to me, I'm gonna kill you, type guy. And then you have Bum who's just out there like going on showdowns with freaking West and doing the fake draws and like snapping on a hitter for swinging too hard. Like, I think that was his demise in the end, personally, for Bum. I love him, but I think that kind of was, but that attitude right there, if he could have figured out how to keep that without getting too outside of it, there's a guy we're missing there too. Like that kind of guy for me. I want that attitude, because I really truly I tell high school kids this all the time. I said, man, you got to have a little bit of prick in you. Like when you go out there, you can be the nicest guy in the world, but you got to have a little bit, in you. And I'll be honest with you. With me, I was a guy that honestly, I was just trying not to make everybody laugh because I'd do something stupid on the mound, because I'd fall down. But I was kind of like, I'm also not happy to face you either. I want to get you out. I'm going to get you out. I'm going to be a little bit of a dick, right? So
in between the white lines, there's that. I feel like every guy that is good for at least a fair amount of time. Once you step in between the white lines, you have to have that. And I think on the teams that we played on together, everybody for the most part had that side. You think of a guy like Joe Panic, who is one of the nicest humans on the planet. Joe Panic, if he got out, wanted to break someone's face with a bat. Like, that's how angry he would get.
Right.
And you talk to him after the game, and he's just like, hey, you know what's going on? I'm going to go home, have dinner, or whatever it is. But he's like the nicest guy ever, Brandon Belt, for a guy that showed not much emotion. That guy cared a ton. Like, he knew the strike zone, but in between the white lines, he cared a ton. And it was just his demeanor that he was quiet. So a lot of guys, I mean, he's been around for forever. So people probably know that about Brandon specifically. But these guys in between the white lines, even like Ryan Theriot, for example, guy who was a goofball and liked to keep it light. Yeah, in between the white lines, man, that guy was a lion.
Yep. And that's how I don't see that this year. I just don't. I don't see that. And it doesn't mean the guys aren't good. I think on paper they're great. Doesn't mean that they're not like that. I'm just not seeing it. And if I'm Buster, I'm I'm not necessarily gonna, hey man, he has his way of doing things, and I don't think he's done a bad job. I think he's done a great job. I really have. I mean, I could not imagine having to make decisions as a president, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want the job. And I don't think that he's made any bad decisions. I think that what I'm looking for is what can I do to be like, okay, on paper, I've got a lineup on paper that should be absolutely dominant. Like no one's right now, you can pitch around anybody. Like you shouldn't, not with the first 4 or 5 guys in the lineup. You shouldn't be able to pitch around anybody. So I think that'll get corrected. And I think it will. I think a fresh start, guys getting settled in. I think you're right. Devers getting settled in a little bit. I think even Willie getting settled in a little bit more, getting these guys settled. I think Chapman coming back healthy, that's going to help. I just am looking for that spark plug, and not just like the crazy run around the bases spark plug. I'm talking about the pitching spark plug starter. I put a lot of things on the pitching staff because I'm like, they're doing great pitching. They are. I think they've done phenomenal this year. But I think give me something where people are like, we have to play really well right now because I want to see that. I want to see the beard come into the game. I want to see it on the team. I want to hear freaking Romo's little Marachi or whatever he freaking played with the lights blinking. I want to see that, right? Yeah, that one. I want to see that. I want to see Casilla be like, oh man, I can't wait for his first. Yeah, like that kind of stuff, man. And then watch his first warm pitch go 18 feet over the catcher and be like, freaking, this is awesome. He's here. Like, I want to see it. But if you're not going to get to see it, if we don't play the game the right way, and I'm not seeing that situation's in play. I think that when we played the way our bullpen was, it was like teams would come in and be like, oh man, it's the freaking 6th inning. It's a 2-1 ball game. Well, we're gonna see these freaking 5 guys come in now. Like, whatever. You saw teams not want to see it. We wanted to see it. And I don't see a situation where other teams are like, whatever we got to do, we got to stay away from that situation. We don't have that presence right now. And that's what I want to see. That's the presence I want to see. And I don't feel like we have that yet. And so that's why I was wondering what you were thinking on the moves that they should make in the offseason. Because I think they need to go after a freaking starter. And because I think he's awesome. I love watching that guy pitch.
I would love to see him back. And the one thing that I think that we are obviously incredibly spoiled, but then biased because we were privileged to be on teams that had good chemistry and had the guys happened to end up getting drafted and being there from the beginning, or added that completed a really, really incredible group of men in the clubhouse that all, everyone always asks like what was so great about our teams. And the one thing I say is like, there were not really any little cliques. We could have 15 guys that would love to go to dinner on the road, right? And all of them have a great time. It didn't matter if you were white, if you were Dominican, Venezuelan, whatever you were, we all could hang out together. There was no cliques. And I think that our chemistry was the most important part of what made us successful. And I think with Buster at the helm now, that is automatically going to ooze out of his decision making. And he said that, or he's said like, hey, this is the type of baseball that we're going to play here. And to add on to what you said about, that he went from retired to buying into the ownership to like, hey, I'm going to run this thing now. Dude. And he's done a really good job, I think, of handling it. He's brought people around that he trusts, that he can bounce ideas off of. And I think he'll be the first one to tell you, like, coming into this, I didn't know what to expect. I want to have enough people around me where I can make good decisions, not only for this organization, but for the players themselves, the city. And this is all he's very passionate about. So I think that specifically in itself is incredibly positive because he's somebody that cares about not only the win on the field, but he cares about the organization. He cares about the city and the community, and all that stuff is incredibly important, especially in the market that we play in, or they play in now, that we had so much success in. So, I think that bringing the right people around, and I do agree with you. I think Willie Adames signing the largest contract in the history of the organization at the time. Well, he still signed it. Now it's bigger. The Devers is bigger, but he got traded over here. There's a lot of things that go into that, a lot of pressure that mounts with new threads in a new city, new teammates. and I think he's done a really nice job of getting himself acclimated. I think once he really hits his stride, the guy's a good baseball player. You can't judge him based on the 120 whatever games, however many it is, so far this season. He'll be just fine. Chapman's just fine. But, I do agree. I think that if you can add on to your bullpen, you can never go wrong with having another bullpen guy. Starting pitching, and this is just the blueprint of success that we had, and I think it's very able to be replicated nowadays, especially still in this ballpark. Starting pitching in general, and defense is what's going to win in that ballpark. And if you have an offense that can go score some runs, if you can put up 4, 5, 6 runs a game, you're going to be successful for a long time.
Yeah, because I think the Dodgers, they don't really scare me like they did. Like, I mean, they're beatable. I mean, last couple of years, I was like, I don't think these guys are going to lose. They're beatable this year. Like, it's about pitch. I still think it's about pitching. I still think it's about how do I keep those guys from crossing home plate. Well, defense and pitching is how you do it, because 100%. Their bullpen's beatable. There's not enough good bullpens out there right now to say you can't beat the bullpens. There's just not. I don't know why. I just don't see it.
Post-trade deadline is pretty good.
Well, yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, there wasn't all year. The division. I mean, if the Giants didn't go into the hole they went into, this would be a crazy, weird division right now.
Well, I mean,
they just played halfway decent.
They were tied for first place, 3 weeks into June?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or right at the beginning of July, whenever that was at Dodger Stadium, right before the Devers trade in June, last week of June. They were tied for first place in this division. So you can't say that this team couldn't or can't compete, because they did it. And that's right. you look at what's happened since then, right? The pitching has taken maybe a slight step back, still very good. Yeah. The offense and the cohesiveness of the offensive production has just not been there. They've made some defensive mistakes. They've made some mental mistakes that shouldn't happen at the major league level.
Yeah, base running, yeah.
And those are the things that really, really good teams that have a chance to go far in the play, like to get to the playoffs and go far in the playoffs, you don't make those types of mistakes. Those are the mistakes that you can't make. And I get it. It's a new team, new unit on the field, and pulling the direction together. They got to find their way. But you can't make the mental mistakes. You can't be missing cutoff men. You can't be, doing some of the things that have happened. Can't be on an infield fly rule, getting thrown out at second base, stuff like that. Those are mistakes that should never happen at the major league level.
So you think the Giants can compete next year?
Yeah, of course. I do think they can compete next year. To your point, I would love to see Robbie Ray back here. I think he would. Yeah. I think he would like to. I think he's enjoyed his time here. Obviously, when you are able to hit the market after an all-star season and doing what he's done, it might get a little bit more. It might get a little bit more expensive, but I think he's a. I mean, look, he just post Tommy John surgery. That elbow's got another 10 years in it, so he'll be just fine with his elbow. I think they can compete. I do.
Yeah, I do too. Georgie. Yeah, this is good, man. This is good. I don't like to let people listen to me talk this long, because it's 48 minutes and people probably think I'm weird. But man, thank you, man. This is awesome. I want to do this more with you. Jump on. We'll find up different topics to talk about, because I really like your insight, dude. It's good. Yeah. Hang on after we get off here. I want to talk to you real quick. But no, thank you if anybody joined. I actually think there's a glitch, because I ain't buying it. I think there's a lot more people. I kind of went and checked just because I'm going to get yelled at for messing something up. But error. Yeah, but now it says there's people watching. Whatever. I don't. Sometimes there's a lot of comments. Sometimes maybe there's no comments because people are like, "You guys are super smart. We have nothing to say." But yes, we agree. So that's what I'm hoping.
Or you guys produce you. I want to make you feel bad.
That could happen. That could be too. People just like us too much. But thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. We'll have you back on quite a bit. This is awesome. So if you were watching, thank you for watching Built for the Storm podcast with me as the host, which is crazy, Jeremy Affelt, and we will see you next time, or tune in next time, because it's going to be awesome. All right, guys. Thank you. All right, Georgie, hold on. Well, I think I'm still on, but